Okay,
Claire Turner, welcome. Thank you for being here. Let
thank
me
you.
talk a little bit about you. Claire Turner is the creator of the IAM Method, TM, trademark, love that, and founder of the academy called Abundance Alchemy, a transformational program for holistic practitioners who want to move from struggling healer to thriving entrepreneur. After burning through 50K pounds of savings and stacking 50K more pounds in debt while hiding behind more qualifications and work, quote unquote, Claire's realized strategy wasn't the missing piece, identity was. Ooh, I love that. She turned her focus to dissolving the unconscious patterns, inherited money trauma, and survival wiring that keep practitioners stuck on the edge of their breakthrough. Today, she helps holistic practitioners raise their prices, attract consistent clients, and feel confident in their work without force, toxic positivity, or bro marketing tactics. We're together on that. Her work goes straight to the root, shifting identity at the subconscious level so new results feel natural rather than performed. Her signature program, Abundance Alchemy, walks practitioners through three pillars: embodied abundance, authentic, authentic confidence, and magnetic action, so they can create the profitable business they love, aligned with who they truly are. Beautiful. Amazing.
Bit wordy, that, wasn't it?
I like it. It was very, very encompassing. So tell us about your journey.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first off, thank you for having this chat with me. I always love to talk about people. My two favorite subjects are me and EFT. So I'm like a pig in shit at the moment. So my journey, I started off life, I think like a lot of people do, I was employed. Uh, I've been with the same company for 15 years, and I'd floated to the top, but not like as in cream, but like as in something you don't want in there. You just float, it just floats to the top of whatever it is. Um, but I was in a position, I found myself in a position that I didn't enjoy. I didn't think I was particularly good at. But I convinced myself that I couldn't do anything else for similar money. And so I was stuck, which is complete and utter bollocks because I could have transferred those skills anywhere. But I was telling myself this really convenient story. And then I met my other half. So I'm blaming him entirely. And he introduced me to personal development. And I suddenly realized that there was so much more choice than I thought there was. But the position I was in was very stressful. And during the beginning of our relationship, he actually pointed out to me very lovingly, um, do you know how stressed you are? These days, he'd just go, you're being a right moody cow, snap out of it. But it was still very polite and romantic and loving at the time. And I hadn't because I was living in it. I would wake up stressed, I'd go to work, I'd get more stressed, I'd be stressed driving home, I'd be stressed going to bed. It was just a constant. I didn't know that I was in it. And he introduced me to a guy called Brad Yates, who I recommend people look up on YouTube. Brad is an EFTer. He has loads of tapping videos on his YouTube channel. I've had the good fortune of meeting with Brad and having dinner with him out in California, which was phenomenal, and his amazing wife.
Cool.
But I remember Danny saying, look, he does something called EFT. It looks weird, but just give it a go. Here's a video on how it works. So I watched this video and I can remember sitting there thinking, well, what a load of bollocks. This just looks completely crazy. But I thought, well, you know what? I'll give it a go. And so in my car at lunchtimes, I would tap along to one of Brad's videos. And my focus was reducing my stress. But what I didn't realize at that point was that EFT is actually quite sneaky. And when you're tapping, you're thinking about why you're stressed in the first place. So for me, it was because I felt trapped and I didn't think I could do anything else and blah, 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 blah. So that was getting worked on quite without me realizing. Fairly shortly after I started doing that, the stars just kind of aligned. We opened up our own chiropractic practice. My other half's a chiro. And the association he belonged to moved in 5 doors down the corridor where we had the practice. And they happened to need someone for the office. And before I knew it, I'd gone for an interview, I'd been offered the job, and I'd left the role that I'd been in for 15 years that I thought I could never leave. And suddenly I was in this new environment. Thank you. And from there, it just kind of snowballed. I did more and more personal development. In fact, we went on a year-long real personal development bash. And I came to the conclusion I didn't want to work for someone else. I wanted to work for myself. But the old story of there's nothing else I can do, I'm not qualified in anything, I can't make the same money, blah, 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 came up again. And for some reason, it was in a pub, so it could be that could be the reason. I decided that I would start a cleaning business because I mistakenly thought that would be easy. I've never worked so hard in my life. But what I'm really interested in is in the marketing side of it. I thought that could be quite cool. Completely bypassing the fact that I really hate cleaning. Well, my friends were like, really? Cleaning? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah. Invested a load of money, got going, was doing quite well. But because it was so misaligned with who I am, I very quickly had a kind of, I call it a mini breakdown, where I was fighting the realization that this wasn't for me, but I'd invested so much into it. I was kind of fighting to keep the limitation. But in the end, I realized that this is not something I can sustain. And I was Googling stuff that I could do. Because Danny's a chiro, I was thinking, well, maybe a massage therapist and stuff. But I thought, well, that's a lot of standing around. And again, it's really hard work. What's something I can do sat down? Warm. And I stumbled across a training for EFT, and I was like, oh my God, I never even realized that you could do that. I mean, it's bonkers. I've been watching Brad for ages, but it never twigged that this is something I can do. And so I got qualified. I did some other stuff like NLP and manifestation coaching and whatnot. And it kind of went from there. Next question.
That's amazing. No, yeah. I love that. What a journey.
Why use 2 words when I can use 1,000?
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
That's okay.
And how do you feel you're at now? Where do you feel like you're in your journey now?
Yeah, so I would love to say that I qualified to be an EFT practitioner and suddenly business just took off and I had loads of clients and I was amazingly successful, which it's just not the case. I'd sold my flat to move in with Danny, so I was 50K in profit from the flat. So I was like, oh, that's a nice buffer. I can hang on to that and get this business rolling and all that sort of stuff. But what actually happened for me was I didn't step out of my comfort zone because I didn't have to because the money was there. So there was no need for me to burn my boats because I had 50K's worth of them. And so I didn't take the island. I did all the busy work, so stuff like getting a website up, all the pretty things, organizing my admin and what the forms look like and all that jazz. And actually, one of my big things was when you're learning anything like this, you're taught how to do it, but that's in a training scenario with other people who know you're in a training scenario and they know what's involved. Working with my first paying client was a fucking baptism of fire. It was so scary because suddenly I had someone who was paying me money, but also I didn't really know how to run a session. I hope she's not watching. I just didn't really know. And so I get a bit anal about this sort of thing. So I went on a huge thing about learning the right questions to ask and the right way to run a session, which helped. But I was still focusing on the doing and not the growing. And so clients would come in sporadically, but they weren't consistent. And when I got a few in, I would kind of go, oh, well, I've got clients now. And I'd take my foot off the pedal.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when the clients finish, I'd be like, oh, shit, I've got no money coming in. And it would start again. So I would lose that momentum. But I had that buffer of the 50K, which decreased very alarmingly. And so I started getting the panic that goes with watching the money coming down. But because I'd been avoiding the stuff that would really help me grow, because my identity was not a business owner, my identity was a practitioner. And more than that, my identity, looking back at it now, was a struggling, scarce practitioner who finds it hard to get clients. And I do love to be right. It resulted in that 50K just being burnt through. But because I didn't have enough money coming in, I was then going into debt. I discovered credit cards. And for years, I couldn't talk about that. I was so ashamed of going into debt. And what was really interesting was I went into the debt to the same extent I'd had the savings. So I had 50K in savings, and then I went to 50K in debt, which I thought, yeah, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. But yeah, it's because I was running that old identity, and I was so ashamed that I got into debt in the first place. You know, my old not so for me that not good enough was a huge story for me, and that just played straight into it. You know, and it's hard, and I'm always going to be in debt. And then on the arse end of that, there was so much fear because it got to the point where I couldn't move money around between credit cards because my credit score was shit by now. So I felt like I had no wiggle room, and it felt like everything was closing in. And when you're operating out of fear, you can't thrive. If you're surviving, you can't thrive. You've just got to survive. And it carried on like that. It was made worse by the fact that one of the ladies I trained with, we were doing swap sessions, and on one of the sessions, she just seemed so confident. She just seemed like she had it all, and she knew what technique to get out of her bag. And I just sat there and I thought, oh my God, she's so much more confident than me. And I can remember going upstairs off the back of this call, and we'd just moved in, he was in the middle of a bed frame building the bed. And I just walked in and I was like, bah! I just there's this image of him going, with a screwdriver in hand. And love him. He didn't try to fix it. He just gave me a massive hug. But I was this whole, what am I doing? How did I think I could do this? It's bonkers. I'm not good enough. Other people are so much better than me. It just all landed on me at once. All that fear, all that angst, all that anxiety, it just exploded. And I spent the next couple of days feeling really fucking sorry for myself, and actually considering I might have to go back to being employed. I don't want to, but that might be what I have to do. And then I stumbled across a statement by a guy called Jim Fortin. In fact, he had a little free thing that I signed up to. And it was the concept of be, do, have.
Okay.
Most people do it the other way around. They have, do, be. When I have this thing, I will do these things, then I will be this certain person. But the way Jim Fortin was talking about it, you have to embody that person first so that you think their thoughts, you make their decisions, you take their actions, and then you get their results. Thoughts lead to feelings, lead to actions, lead to results. And it was a real light bulb moment for me. And I was like, holy, I've been operating from an identity of someone who has these results. But I've been telling myself that this is wrong, that I am wrong, and that I have to fix it. But the reality was nothing was actually broken. These were my results. They couldn't be any different because I can't go back and change until I've finished my time machine in the garage. I can't go back and change anything. So me and my life couldn't be any different than it is right now because it isn't. And with that came a kind of peace. It was a kind of an acceptance came in. And I often talk about it in terms of actually extreme acceptance for where I am right now. And when I stopped trying to fix myself, things started to shift, because if you're trying to fix your life, the implication of fixing is that it's broken, that you are broken. If you are broken, it is impossible for you to fix, because then you won't be broken. I was like, fuck. And so I started really honing in on the identity stuff and beginning to embody that, and using stuff like EFT to help me to do that. And then that's now what I help other people to do.
Wow.
I'll let you get a
Okay.
word in.
No, I was happy to hear. Cool. How do you help other people?
That's a great question. So I work in a couple of ways. There's my one-to-one stuff, which is via an empowerment program, which is an 8-week program. But there's also Abundance Alchemy. So Abundance Alchemy is a little bit newer, and it's a hybrid of online and live group coaching. So
Mm.
it's a 9-month thing. There are 9 modules, and they basically go through all the stuff that I struggled with, stuff like confidence, stuff like being visible, stuff like being able to receive, stuff like taking aligned action. Everything I made the mistakes in, everything I struggled with, I compiled into this program. So in the effort to help other people avoid doing it, or if they're doing it, to get past it as fast as possible. Because the most effective way to change your results is to change the person who's creating the results. So that's what Abundance Alchemy is about. There's like pre-recorded modules, and there's things within the program. I call it's in the alchemizing section. So that's the IAM method. It's identify, alchemize, magnetize. So
Mm.
it takes you through the journey of, let's identify the blocks, because if something, we're run by our unconscious, that controls 95% of what we have in our lives and how we think and what we do. And we tend to manifest from our unconscious, or it tends to sabotage us because we can't see we're doing it. And I'm the same. I work with people because I can't see it when I do it. I need someone to call me on my bullshit. Um, but once you're aware of it, which is what the identify section is all about, once you ask yourself some questions and get really down and dirty with it and realize what's going on, you bring it into the conscious, and then it can't quietly sabotage you because you're conscious of what you're doing. Then once you've got it out, we alchemize it with stuff like EFT and energy activations and stuff like that. And there are things that you do for the month to help progress that. And then we magnetize. So it's one thing to do the energy side and the mindset side and the identity side, all super important. But it's all a bit, I'm going to say the word wrong, ethereal? Ethereal? Is that
Ethereal?
yeah, ethereal. That's it. it's it's so important, but it's a little bit intangible.
Yeah.
And we're in a tangible world. We are in a physical realm. So to turn the ethereal into actual, there's got to be some kind of physical action just to bring it out the brain and
Mm.
solidify it. And so the magnetize is about that. It's about starting to embody that version of you and taking the actions they would take on a daily basis. Doesn't matter how small or how big. It's just about starting to step into that version of you and just integrating it all. So you start to get those results. And then around that, there's twice monthly group coaching calls where it's a supportive space. We'll work through stuff that comes up, answer questions and all that sort of jazz. And just sort of, it's another level to the alchemize, if you like.
Amazing.
And basically the same thing happens with the one-to-one, but it's much more direct. I'm like, you can't escape. I'm with you. But essentially, the whole premise is I want to get people from where they are now, which is generally struggling.
Yeah.
They're in a situation where they don't have what they think they want.
Mm.
They're blaming and judging themselves for that, and helping them to dissolve the stories, because we are already, and I'm going to plant my flag in the ground and I'm prepared to die on this hill. We are limitless souls who have decided to come and have a earthbound experience. And for that, we have to be in our beanbag of a body. But at our very core, we are freedom, we are abundance, and we are love. Our very essence is that. That's how we're born into this realm. But then life happens. As a baby, you're not given a huge manual on how to act in polite society. You model, you soak it up, you're a sponge from 0 to 7. You see how your parents act, what they do, how society acts, and you copy and you download those programs. So what happens is this beautiful love and abundance and freedom gets covered up by these stories that tell us we're not abundance, we're not free, we're not love. that we're somehow flawed or broken. And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to compensate for that. So manifesting, one of the big lies about manifesting is it's something out there to get. The reality is you've already got it. It's just my job is to help you dissolve the stories. So it's a bit like a six pack. I want a six pack. This is why I slap my belly with a resounding slap. And so you go to the gym, you got to do something. You got to go to the gym, you got to, drink health drinks and stuff. But the reality is we've all got a six pack. We've all got those muscles. That's just biological fact. It's just that for some of us, they're covered up with a load of shit and some questionable life choices, but also coping behaviors. But we've still got the muscles. They're still there. It's just a case of revealing them. So manifestation is less about searching for and more about revealing. That's what I help people to do.
I really like that. I like a lot of that, actually. A lot of what you said resonates deeply with me, and also so much of your journey feels so similar, and I'm sure a lot of people have a similar journey as well, where it's like you get started and then you're like, oh, I have to bring clients in.
Holy shit. I have to sell. I didn't sign up for this. I mean, I was very lucky. Danny, as well as a chiropractor, he's a business coach. So I had someone there in the background, guiding me, poking me with something sharp and pointy when I needed it. But I also had someone who would come up and say, do you really need that other qualification? Because that was I was looking for external validation. And the way I would try and find that was qualification after qualification after qualification. And thank God he stepped in, otherwise I'd be up to my eyeballs in bits of paper with certificates, but no further along with clients or money. But I think for holistic practitioners, I'm going to go out on a limb, however you get into this work, there is a deep desire to serve. There is a deep desire to help people. There is a recognition that life could be so much easier and more loving and more abundant. But we're human and we have our own stories. And in fact, when I was training to be an EFT practitioner, and this always sticks with me, I had another lady who was in the same training group, and she was already doing stuff like Reiki and whatnot, and reflexology. And she said out loud, of course, you have to have these other qualifications because you can't make money from just EFT alone. I was like, oh, there's a limiting belief.
It's so deflating to hear.
Yeah, and you're learning how to do something that literally helps you change and dissolve limiting beliefs, and you've got that one. But she couldn't see it because she was in the middle of it. There's no, I'm not judging her in any way. That's what was her experience, and that's what tends to happen. Our past hurt informs our future fear.
Yeah, sure.
But it was crazy. That's always stuck in my head. I hope she's okay.
Well, and it's so funny because I also had the same belief, and I was the person who would hear what other people do, and I'd be like, oh, I want to do that too. Like, I need to be able to do that too.
Yeah.
So I racked up a couple of different modalities that don't necessarily have to go together. They can go together. I make them go together now, but I just didn't need to do all of the different things. I just felt like I wouldn't make it if I didn't have a variety of different services.
Yeah, and look, we are absolute geniuses, and the ego is so friggin' slippery. If I am working on getting another qualification, I feel noble because I'm learning more in order to serve better. But I'm also, like a friggin' genius, avoiding having to do the work to get clients in because, oh, look, I'm training. So that was another thing for me. It was a way of avoiding, it was a way of hiding from doing the stuff that was scary, that is actually, the business growth stuff, the stuff that perhaps I didn't think I really understood. And don't get me wrong, I've invested so much money in strategy after strategy, how to build a business and all that sort of stuff. And all of it has been useful. All of it has been useful, even if it was just to show me what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But the recurring theme through all that investing into strategy stuff was that I wasn't implementing it.
Yeah.
Or if I did implement it, I was so resistant to it, nothing came of it.
Yeah.
And then but with my not good enough identity, nothing could come of it because then I'd be good enough and that wouldn't work. So it had to fail. But I would then, and so I started getting evidence that I can't do it. Well, there's evidence I can't do this, evidence that these other people are so much better than I am. There's evidence that what I do is really hard to explain. There's evidence that clients are hard to get. And there has to be evidence because your ego needs you to believe the pretense so you keep the identity.
And
And
if it does work, then you're
yeah,
happy to say, oh, it was a fluke.
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know
yeah.
that.
I was just lucky.
I don't know
Yeah.
what that was.
There was a great thing I had a guy called Peter Crone say about evidence, and it's if you were taking you had to take 100 penalty shots. Say we both like football, take
Sure.
100 penalty shots, and for the first 15 of those penalty shots, you kick the ball into the bottom left corner. From the goalie's point of view, does the evidence suggest that it's a good probability that the 16th shot will be in the bottom left corner?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're probably even sort of edging that way.
Right.
But is it an absolute truth that you will kick the 16th goal into the bottom left corner, or will you kick it somewhere else? In my
You'll
case,
probably
probably
kick it
over the
somewhere
net.
else because he's edging to the.
Yeah. But for the goalie, the evidence suggests the same thing's going to happen, but it doesn't mean the
Yeah.
same thing is going to happen. But that's what we do. Our brain takes all our past hurt and then it throws it into the future. It imagines the future. It goes, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, and then it will come up with solutions to try and avoid it. So this is
Yeah.
what anxiety is. The future doesn't exist, but your brain is projecting into the future past hurt. And then the same brain is trying to help you avoid that hurt. But then you become so focused on it, you just kind of fall into it.
Right.
We get anxious, but the future doesn't exist. Your brain has literally just made that up. All we've got is right now. The past, we can't go to the past. We can't physically go to the past. We can't physically go to the future. But by the time the future gets here, it's not the future anymore. It's now. All we've got is now. But people get so anxious about it. So it's just about the right way EFT works is you can kind of diffuse that past hurt. If you diffuse the past hurt, your brain struggles to throw it into the future,
Yeah.
which means this future becomes less scary. And people often say, oh, I'm afraid of the unknown. You're not. You're not afraid of the unknown. You're afraid of what you think is in the unknown.
Yeah. You're
That's
afraid
what
of
you're
what you
afraid
don't
of.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you try to avoid that. But you're making it up. It's literally your imagination. So if you can
Wow.
use that with something like EFT and take away that past hurt, if that didn't exist, if that thing that happened to you wasn't an issue, if it didn't exist or you didn't have the emotional attachment to it, what would be different? What would be possible? Would this even be a problem? Something I often like to say to my clients is if you sprang into existence right now with no past, brick wall behind you, no past, spring into existence right now, would this be a problem? And the answer is always the answer is always no. It wouldn't be a problem because I've got nothing to draw on.
Yeah.
But all you're drawing on is a memory of the past. It's not even the past itself, it's your memory of it, which is incredibly unreliable and
That's so interesting. That
biased.
actually reminds me of sometimes in our sessions, I'll have people who bring like deep phobias into
Mm,
session. Like and one of them is like deep space or thalassophobia, where they're afraid of open ocean.
yeah,
And it's almost always that, yes, there's a great expanse that feels big, but there's also like, what if there's sharks, aliens, scary things, whatever.
yeah. I'm totally with the
And
sharks one, by the way, yes. I saw
so
Jaws
it
too
does
young.
make me think. Wait, say it again.
I saw Jaws too young. It scarred me.
Yeah. I imagine you're not the only one. Our whole generation. But it is like, even with Jaws, like it sat in our memory as like that's what happens if you're out in
Yeah,
open ocean.
yeah,
And so many people have ended up with that phobia.
yeah.
And similarly, we go back and dissolve some of that, but that's so true.
So it's less the open space, it's less the open ocean they're afraid of. I would ascertain they're not afraid of the ocean. They're afraid of what they think is in the ocean that will kill them. That's what, or drowning. That's the real fear. The ocean just happens to be there.
It's just there. Yeah.
But yeah, it's what might come out of the ocean and eat me alive. Let's move off that.
Or that they don't trust
people being triggered everywhere.
Yeah, right. It's like you're just turning. And then you're gonna scare yourself, right? Like there's no.
And isn't that bonkers when you start? Oh God, I'm almost ashamed. I'm almost ashamed to admit this. It's so ridiculous. But there have been times where I've been lying in bed, nowhere near the fucking open ocean, and my brain has gone, oh, what if I was in the ocean and I looked underneath the water and I could see a shark swimming towards me, and then I can feel my body going into the stress response.
Oh,
lying in bed, I can't be any safer. But
literally,
all the chemicals are getting released. I'm getting all tight and tense, and I'm imagining how I get myself out of that. I'm like, what am I doing?
If I let myself think about small spaces for too long, I will hyperventilate.
Yeah,
like my body just goes into the response. I can't help it.
Yeah, your body. But if you think about it, it's fascinating. From the power of thought alone, you're having a physical reaction. And that physical reaction with all those feelings, that then informs your actions.
It's true. Because and then when I am in that same stress response, I do absolutely freak myself out.
Yeah. It's bonkers, but yeah, people and then people judge themselves for doing it.
Yeah, yes. Oh, that's what a layered, like, yeah, it's just unfortunate that.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, and particularly, so I'm going to talk about holistic practitioners because that's who I mainly work with, but they judge themselves. And I've done the same thing. I'm not fucking innocent from any of this. I've done exactly the same thing. They judge themselves for not being further along. They judge themselves for not being better at something. They judge where their business is. But when you think about it, what's the implication of judgment? Is it that you're doing something right, or is it you're doing something wrong? So to me, the implication is if there's judgment, you're doing something wrong, which just means you're feeding that story of I'm not good enough in some way, or I'm wrong, or I can't do it. Whatever the story is, whatever the prison or constraint is, when you judge yourself, all you do is reinforce it. Another great one from Peter Crone is, you can't have the life you want by trying to fix the life you don't want. Because again, you're trying to fix something, so it's broken, so you can't have the life you want because you're not good enough. It just all kind of everything. When you really start to notice it and you get really curious about it, it's fascinating just how much your story informs what's going on in your life. And the beautiful thing about life is that it will always present you with people and circumstances to show you where you're not free. Your life is a mirror. That's what a trigger is. I used to hate triggers until I realized that triggers are a gift. They're just an amazing opportunity. Oh, I've been triggered. Why?
Wow.
I've been triggered. That's curious. What is this showing me? So a big one for me, I do like to play the martyr. My mum does, don't watch this, mum. But it's a habit that I picked up from her, and it was that kind of put uponness. Oh, I have to do everything kind of scenario. And I feel myself doing the same thing now with Danny. If I think I shouldn't have to do this, but if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it. And I'm like, ugh. And I get triggered by it. And I've had to start stopping and saying, well, this is interesting. Why am I getting so triggered? What am I making this mean about me? Is that true? So a trigger is an absolute gift that shows you where you're not free. Everything in your life is mirroring back to you. So I'm going to invite everyone, drop the judgment and start getting curious.
Yes. That's so funny. It The way you just said that hit so different for me. Like like it just opened up because like sometimes a trigger comes up and you think, oh, is life testing me? Or like it's it's just a you're just like on a railroad track where you could choose like, oh, this is a place I'm not free, I'm gonna get free. Or you're gonna say, oh look, see, I'm not free. That's why I can't
Yeah,
XYZ. And it
yeah,
just like continues down that track.
yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I used to hold the thing, I'm being tested, life is testing me, universe is testing me. I came to the conclusion, and this is just my conclusion, rightly or wrongly, the universe doesn't give a flying fuck.
Yeah.
I'm a little bean bag of a human being on a huge molten ball of rock flying through space. The universe doesn't, I'm not, that's a little bit big-headed of me. Oh, me
Oh.
personally, I'm being tested. But it took me a
Oh.
while to sort of think, it took me a while to sort of think of that. But life
Mhm.
just is. But I do believe that life is doing its, just the generality of life, it it wants, it doesn't, I don't think want comes into it, but it wants the best for you.
Yeah.
All the opportunities are there.
Yeah.
All the opportunities are there. What we think is possible isn't actually what's possible. Everything is there. It's just that the beliefs we have and the identity we've got, we put blinkers on.
Yep.
The first things my clients say when we start working is all these opportunities started coming up. They were always there. It's just that we removed the blinkers a little bit. You've got a little bit more of a
Yeah.
peripheral vision going on. And suddenly you can
Mhm.
see them. And because you're in a different space, you see them. Not only do you see them, you act on them.
Mm.
You get different results. It's very
That's
exciting.
so funny. That just like it made me think of a couple days ago for whoever's watching. Claire and I are in a marketing class together.
Mm,
Um, but Jenna sent out an email that had a bunch of free resources on it. I was like, amazing. I'm gonna go grab all of these. And one of them was press releases. And I've never thought about doing a press release. Didn't seem like it was relevant to me. But I was in the car the other day and I was like, my assumption is that when there is a press release, it was just like by divine intervention, like someone happened to be in front of the right place at the right time, the camera was
yeah.
there, and like there was a press release that happened. But like they just submitted for that. Like it wasn't even
Yeah.
that magical. They literally just wrote a proposal and sent it. Like there's it the
Yeah.
opportunities are all right there.
Yeah.
I'm just not taking advantage of them.
Yeah. And the law of attraction, the clue is in the title. It's the law of attraction.
Yeah.
There's, we're in a physical realm. Some kind of
Yeah.
action, I think, is needed. And I once had this great thing. I'm not religious in any way, but I had this great saying. Um, Someone was, well, if you're religious and when you believe in God and stuff, why do you need to do anything? God will just provide. And whoever it was came back and said, well, I believe in Allah, but I still tie up my camels.
Yeah.
It's a co-creative thing to my mind.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and like in what I like to do is collapse like the universe into the self and the self into the universe. So like we are one
Mm.
and the same. But
Mm.
even then, the universe like there's not a moralistic attachment to
Yeah,
what's being shown to you. There's
yeah,
no good or bad about it. It's not
yeah,
like trying to make you do anything. You are. You're trying to
yeah,
make you do
yeah.
something.
Yeah, I love that you say that because I don't know if anyone's, oh God, what's his name? Really famous, really old. Bugger, it'll come back to me. But his whole thing was, you are the God self.
Hmm.
You are the God self. And Ho'oponopono, I don't know if you've heard that, speaks a lot to that, where you take extreme responsibility. The premise is
Yeah.
you are responsible for everything. So take responsibility for it. Own it.
Yeah.
And there's this wonderful, Hawaiian prayer, Ho'oponopono, that helps you move through that, which is also something I use. But yeah, it's really interesting. And also the words we use I found out that the translation, the literal translation of abracadabra is something like I speak into being.
Ooh,
That's
actually,
why in witchcraft they call it spelling.
yeah, definitely.
It's
Oh, it's so beautiful.
the words we use are so key. So and that's something I listen out a lot for, because there's always, if you listen, you can hear the lies people tell themselves in their words. You can hear when
Yes.
they're keeping them trapped in they're keeping themselves trapped in this constraint. Words like trying or have to or must or striving, it's effort. It's something out there that you need to get. And reality is you don't. You've already got it. So one of my big things is, people start working because they want more money. That's great. The reality is they don't want more money. The reality is they couldn't give a fuck about money. What they want is the experience or the feeling they think having money will elicit. And
Yeah,
for 99% of people, that's freedom.
freedom.
When
Absolutely.
you recognize that you are already free,
Yeah.
money is a different perspective, and you just start acting differently. And as interesting as a side effect of that, money rolls in.
Yeah.
But I heard once someone
I love
talk about true financial freedom is not being reliant on the number in your bank account to dictate how you
Mm.
feel about yourself.
Ooh, how you feel about yourself. I
Yeah,
never thought
that's
of it in
true
this
financial
way.
freedom. You
Yeah,
don't need the number in your bank to mean anything about you.
I love this.
And when you're in that energy, when you're vibrating from that space and you're using these beautiful words, with purpose. I mean,
Mm.
words are sound. Sound is vibration. It's all the
Mhm.
same thing. That's when the magic happens. And it's
Yes,
weird. It's weird. Shit just turns up. It's really
it
bonkers.
is weird.
Let's
I sometimes so the work that I do is often with activists and organizers, and
mm,
so many of us have the world is so hard. There's so much oppression.
mm.
All of this is true. It is happening. That is real. People are dying.
Yeah.
Um, but if we let that stop our work, people will always die.
People die anywhere. None of us are getting out of here alive.
That's true. That's true.
But
We are all going to go.
and it's so easy to look at the world and how the world is run and what is happening to it. It is so easy to be in the space of this is so unfair, this is really hard, it's horrible. Why is the world so hateful, such a hateful place? But when you are using that language, you're 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 kind of just adding to the reasoning that the world is a dreadful place.
Mm.
Because kind of it's the same thing when you use the language for yourself about yourself. If you are I'm striving to be a better practitioner, the implication is you're not a good practitioner.
Oh
You wouldn't be
man.
striving. Yeah, so it's the implication behind the words. And there's been, was it I'm going to get it wrong, the Maharishi, effect, where they got a load of people meditating together, and the crime, I
Okay.
can't remember where it was. I've got no details on it. Where
I don't
useless
know.
was that? But they had a group of people and they all meditated together. And the city they were in, it was somewhere in America, but the crime rate went down.
Wow.
Not because the people were focused on how terrible and how much crime there was, but because they were focused on love.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. There's a I don't remember her first name. Her last name is God, but she's an activist,
Mm.
and she has a very similar message of love. And even Miriam Kaba tells us hope is a discipline, and we can't get anywhere without it. We can't get
Yeah.
anywhere without remembering that if this world is on us, we can change it. We can do whatever
Yeah.
we want with it.
Yeah. It's got to start with us.
Yeah, it's true.
The old saying, be the change you want to see in the world. But
Right.
it's an old saying for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I quipped earlier about none of us getting out of here alive. But I had a real epiphany not so long ago. My dad died just a few months ago. And we got his ashes in like looked like a Tupperware cereal box that I was really struggling to get the top off because it wanted to decant a bit of him. And I was like, fuck, it's one of those ones where I'm going to pull too hard, it's all going to go poof. Lucky it didn't, but I looked inside and it was it was really weird. I'm not sure I'm going to do it justice, but I could see these ashes. I was like, that was my dad. It wasn't my dad, but it was my dad's body
Yeah.
reduced to this pile of ashes. And I was driving home from my mum's after doing that, and it was like, holy fuck, that's at some point I'm going to be a pile of ashes. What the fuck am I worrying about? Life's too
What
short.
am I worrying
Let's just
about?
have fun. What was the thing? We're here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
But it was a real holy fuck moment. Actually, I'm not here forever. I have this
Mhm.
opportunity now, and I'm dithering my arse around stuff and getting frightened by stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be a pile of ashes. So what does it matter?
Mm,
Just do it.
yeah.
Fuck it.
That
Do it.
I mean, I think I need to do it.
But yeah, it hit me quite hard. Um,
Yeah.
it's just been really useful. Cheers, Dad.
Wow. What an intense way to get that message.
Yeah, I'm sure I could have had an easier way of getting that.
And like death and grief is such a huge topic too. Like, that is a major teacher, obviously,
Yeah,
but like also one of the hardest things that we go through. And
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're very spiritual. So I'd like to think it hasn't hit as hard. We don't take it too serious. We get a lot of worried people going, "Oh, are you okay?" And it's lovely that it's sweet of them to ask. And they kind of expect you to behave in a certain way because that's their experience of grief, what they think grief needs to be.
yeah.
But we know he's not gone.
Yeah.
He's just the energy has just changed a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just a physical representation of him that's now a pile of dust in the cereal box.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that helps because
Yeah.
he's still around. Occasionally, I'm like, oh fuck, he's still around. But don't look, Dad, don't look. But I'm fascinated by all things spiritual. I'm fascinated because it's very hard to prove any of it for starters. And I think that's another thing that perhaps trips up people in this profession is this there needs to be cold hard proof.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of depends who you're talking to. My perspective of it is I'm not really sciencey. I got kicked out of biology for being really shit. Um, if it works, it works. I don't really care why it works. It just works. I can do. I like to know the ins and outs of it, but if it
Yeah.
works, then that's all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Um, but in this kind of profession, and this is where the historical stuff comes in, like with ancestors and stuff, there's been a lot of persecution around it.
Absolutely.
If you don't toe the line and believe what, oh, I'm sorry, chaps, the patriarchy want you to believe, because there was a huge dumbing down of women from the patriarchy for just for power. Um, then you're bad. I mean, we had a session the other day, and something you brought up about collabs for me, and there was this thing about it's not your issue. This is something that happened to a past version of you that you were betrayed by someone. It's like, well, that makes a bit more sense because I had no idea why I was so resistant to collaborating with people. But it's
Mm,
a real, I don't want to partner with people. I don't want to collab on anything. And I couldn't put my finger on why, but that kind of makes sense.
yeah.
Is it absolutely true? I don't fucking know, but it makes sense. And then I can work on that. Yeah?
So much ancestral wounding that we move through and walk with like every
Yeah.
single day
Yeah.
that we're often totally unaware of.
Yeah. There was one, it wasn't my thing, but there was a session. I can't remember who was doing it now, but I was watching the recording of it. And he was working with a girl who it was all about she didn't matter. And she worked through it and she released a lot of it. And there was this deep realization that was all bullshit and she does matter and she's this limitless, boundless, abundant soul. But these things tend to get passed down through the female line. I don't know why. Maybe we just hold on to shit. I don't know. But after she cleared it, her grandmother was very ill.
Oh, wow.
You could see this lovely lady have this huge shift.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, she got a phone call that her grandmother had died, and she was like, "Oh my God, she's died. I feel so." I wanted to go. I was on my way to go and see her, but
Wow.
she fed this back like a month later, and it was like that gives me chills. I feel a bit goosebumpy about that. The moment this lady releases this deep ancestral trauma, her grandmother goes, "Oh, that's it," and she can
Yeah.
pass.
I can go. Yeah.
I'm getting chills just talking about it.
Yeah.
Can I prove that's what happened? Of course I can't, but it's
Well,
interesting, isn't it?
very.
I
Yeah.
think it's I'm maybe a bit sad, but I think it's
Kind
really
of beautiful. Like, yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
Oh,
The release.
yeah.
Let me see if we have more questions.
Yes, because I haven't spoken enough.
I'm loving this. So good. Can you share a success story with us?
Yeah, so there's if I haven't got a few. One that springs to mind immediately is a chiropractor. He had again some ancestral shit going on for him, which was affecting his identity. So we clear that, we work through that, we dissolve the stories, and he experienced a £7,500 week. Nothing else changed.
Wow.
He didn't put his prices up. He didn't do anything different, but simply by shifting his identity, by dissolving the stories that were keeping him constrained, it just went. So it was 150% increase in revenue, which is
That's
phenomenal.
amazing.
Yeah, which is like, my God, that's amazing. A massage therapist actually, he went from, I think it was a £480 week to I can't remember what exactly it was, but it was like I think it was like a £1,200 week consistently.
Is this
So if you times that by however many weeks there are on the year,
like sustained?
that's a big growth.
Wow.
And for him it was a combination of shifting some shit. He did also put his prices up, but only because he dissolved some shit around why he couldn't put his prices up. So he didn't really get busier, but just that shift, the opportunity arose. Yeah. He put his prices up, all that sort of stuff.
Well, and it sounds like no one was upset about it. No. It sounds like he absolutely deserved to raise his prices, and no one was going to be upset.
Yeah, no, we always get so frightened about raising prices. We think we're going to lose people. It's the fear of loss. The reality is, if you put your prices up, we used to put our prices up regularly at the chiropractic practice. We were the most expensive in the area. Oh. We were the Stella Artois of chiropractic, reassuringly expensive. And I don't know if you've had that slogan in America, but it's and there was like, oh gosh, we're going to lose loads of people. We never lost more than 2 or 3%. And the ones that we did lose were covered because the prices had gone up.
Yeah.
But there's this huge fear built in that,
because you're not even necessarily like, this comes up for me sometimes when I raise prices as well. It's not necessarily that I'm afraid that so many people won't book with me anymore. It's that someone will be pissed off and scream at me and tell me that I sold out and that I should not be raising my prices.
Yeah. We love a bit of peer pressure. Yeah. Because
where's your praxis?
Yeah, if you're spiritual, you shouldn't be charging all this money. If you're a healer, you shouldn't be charging all this money. Money is just an exchange. Yeah. It's just an exchange. It represents an exchange. If you are offering a transformation, the money is the exchange for that.
Yeah, truly.
And often, actually, the transformation starts with the transaction. I mean, my one-to-one isn't cheap by any means. One of the things I always get from people is when they decide to work with me, one of the first messages I get is I already feel different. Because they've just taken an action, not from their current self, they've taken an action from the self they want to be.
Yes.
They've
Oh my
invested
gosh,
in
that's so
themselves.
true. As soon as people click the buy button, they're like,
Yeah, it's almost like, oh,
it's already happening.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it can go either way. They can be like, oh gosh, I'm already doing it. I'm already feel shifted. And there's often a little bit of, arse clenching fear with a
Oh,
little
absolutely.
pucker in your seat. But that's because you've just done something really different.
Yeah. Yeah. And when people have a little bit of resistance to that change, um, their Zoom connection will go out, our phone connection will die, they'll have
Yeah,
trouble calling in,
yeah,
they won't
it's
be able to
bonkers.
find the location.
Yeah, it's
All kinds
absolutely
of stuff comes
bonkers.
up.
But it's I mean the money the success stuff with money is lovely. It's a way to measure things. But what really makes me feel warm and fluffy, yes, I love it when people make my money, but it's the confidence.
Yeah.
It's that realization that they are absolutely fine exactly as they are. And it's that
Mm.
relaxing into that. And then the shift that has not only on them, but the people around them. They start to have different relationships.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
that's, and and go, oh, this has transformed my life kind of thing. And you're like, wow,
Yeah.
amazing. Something and this might be my own thing, something I'm very resistant to is when I know what they're doing it, but they go, you changed my life. I
Mm, mhm,
didn't.
mhm.
I was just I just hold the space.
Right.
That's what I do. I hold the space. I create the safe container for you to come to your own realization about your bullshit stories. I support you with that. And it's my job to not allow you to just be the best of your limited self.
Mm,
Anyone can be the best of their limited. Most people are. Most people are, they're working on themselves and they want to be the best they can be. But if they don't shift the identity, they're still limited,
yeah.
still in those old stories.
Yeah.
They can be the best of that limited self, but they are still limited.
They are still limited.
So
And I
my
also,
job, the way I see it, is to help them bust through that.
yeah, well, what you just said that you, um, like it makes you a little bit uncomfortable to hear that people are saying you changed my life.
Yeah.
I have the same like discomfort, but for me it comes from like I'm afraid it's gonna go to my head and then I'm gonna be like I changed people's lives. Like
You can just get me on the screen, maybe.
right.
Yeah.
But there is some of that like why am I afraid to accept that like also holding the space is important and like I
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah. It's yeah. If you weren't there to hold the space, that transformation might not have happened. You can't guarantee that.
Yeah.
But it's for me, it's people now have a chance, whereas before they
Yeah.
didn't, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
one of the things, there's a chiropractic mentor, I can't think of his name, um, but one of his things was accept no credit and take no blame.
Mm, mm. It's both, right? It's like
Yeah,
accept no credit, take no blame,
yeah,
or take all
yeah,
of the responsibility and all of the rewards.
yeah. And to me, and I get this a lot with practitioners who are people that, oh, I have to be responsible. And I was the same way. I felt so responsible for people.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's actually doing them a real disservice. By
Mm,
assuming the responsibility, you're effectively saying, here, give me that. You can't be trusted. You can't do it.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you're immediately disempowering them.
And yourself, because
Yeah.
then
And you're
also
just creating pressure
space
and
of doing
stress for
that.
yourself. The
Yeah.
reality is they are this incredible being. They have innate intelligence. The body's incredible, the mind's incredible, the energy is incredible. They are a limitless, boundless soul. And you're going, no, you can't do that. Give it to me.
Yeah. I have to do it for you.
Rude.
Yes. Huge. Oh my gosh. And you just cleared something for me because I was thinking about an old client coming back and worrying, can I continue to deliver for
Yeah,
that same person who's
yeah.
already been through my program before?
It's bonkers.
Uh, they're coming back because they
I
want to
know.
do it
You
again. Who
got
cares?
yeah. Oh no, I have repeat clients. That must mean I'm awful.
Right.
They must have hated it. It didn't work. They've come back.
Sorry about it.
Yeah, it's
I
bonkers.
love
It's
it.
bonkers.
This was so wonderful. Is there any questions that I haven't asked you that you want to answer?
I don't think so. I mean, as usual, if you want to find me, I'm on Instagram.
Yes, come find me. I want to know that too.
TurnerEFT UK. But I'm sure there'll be a link dropped in. But yeah, nothing really. I think we've had a good old chin wag. I've dominated the conversation very rudely.
I really love it. I'm so glad you did.
It's all about me.
As it should be.
Absolutely. That's it. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. As soon as we finish this, I think, oh, I should have got to ask this. There'll be a follow-up call, everyone.
We'll record another one. We'll do a little selfie phone.
Yeah. And another thing. It's been an absolute pleasure, Keki, love. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really grateful. Awesome stuff. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.